my name is Jess and welcome to my channel, Reads of the Ravenclaw. Today, if my battery does not run out, because I've got like 1 bar left, I'm going to be talking to you about my favourite fictional couples. Romance, as I've mentioned before in my video, which is a defence of romance in books in general, the romantic genre, romantic subplots, I have mentioned how often when I read a book the romance can be my very favourite part of it, because I love how it brings out these different aspects in characters that we already really care for and love. I chose to call this video my favourite fictional couples rather than my top 10 favourite fictional couples or top 5 or whatever, just because I wanted to be able to talk really broadly about the couples that I love, and quite a lot of the time in this collection there are multiple couples by the same author that I really love, and I didn't want to have to pick or choose one, because that's just like, you know, choosing children, which is wrong. So that also means that the couples that I'm going to mention are not in any particular order, so let's just get in with the first one. First couple of fictional couples that I wanted to talk to you about are couples that feature in the works of Melina Marchetta. I have made a video all about why you should read the books of Melina Marchetta. She is my favourite young adult author and she writes in both contemporary and fantasy, so I'd really recommend her books. And the first of her couples that I would really love to mention is Tom and Tara from The Piper's Son. The Piper's Son is kind of, but also not really, a companion book to Saving Francesca, which is an earlier book of Melina Marchetta's, and Tom features in that book as a minor character, but he is a POV character in this book. And his romance with Tara Fink is without a doubt one of my favourite aspects of this book. Tom and Tara are very different characters, and in many ways their relationship is kind of it starts out in Saving Francesca as a classic hate to love thing. Tom is very much a slacker, he's a bit of a joker. I wouldn't call him a bad boy because I think he's a bit too soft for that, but he's definitely like not a person who really cares about how he's viewed. He's just kind of a bit of a joker. And Tara is very different. She takes herself very seriously, she's very political, and when they come together it's just so much fun because they start out having a very kind of angsty, teasing dynamic. What I really love about their relationship in this book is that they're kind of past their hate to love phase, and whilst they still have that kind of teasing dynamic that I really like, there's also these deeper layers with them now, because by the time we're reintroduced to them in this book they're older. I think Tom's 21. Also, Tara is overseas in this book, so a lot of the rekindling of their relationship happens through emails and phone calls, and I love that. The emails that Melina Marchetta writes between Tom and Tara are so, like, some of them are so full of emotion, some of them are so funny, some of them are a mix of the both, and I just adore these two characters. This is probably my favourite couple of hers. And the other couple of Melina Marchetta's that I wanted to talk about is Lucian and Phaedra, who are in her Lunatic Chronicles series. Phaedra is only introduced in the second book, Four of the Exiles, and in this book you see more of their relationship. I don't want to discuss their relationship in too much detail because I don't want to say how they end up, because I do think that that's kind of spoilery, but when we're introduced to Phaedra in Four of the Exiles, she has kind of been betrothed to Lucian. They're of two very different kingdoms, and there's a lot of conflict and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of prejudice between them because of these two different kingdoms. And what I really loved about this book and their relationship is that you just get to see two individuals who really don't understand each other kind of peel back those layers and gain this really beautiful understanding. And I think that's why I really love the hate to love trope in fiction a lot when it's done well, because at the core of it, it is about two people who don't really understand each other understanding each other better, and I think that's beautiful, and so I think their relationship is beautiful. The next couple that I wanted to speak about is Anne and Captain Wentworth from Persuasion. For a while I considered putting Elizabeth Bennet and Darcy on this list because I have said before how for me they're kind of like the quintessential love story, but I've reflected on it a lot and I honestly think that Anne and Captain Wentworth are by far my favourite couple. Like, it's not like with Melina Marchetta's novels where I really struggle to choose between the two. These are definitely my favourite Austen couple that I've read so far. I think that's because it's very different from the other Austen romances that I've read. I've also read Emma and Pride and Prejudice, and in those two books the kind of relationship and the energy between the couples in those books is quite combative, and it is kind of like a teasing hate to love thing in those. Whereas with this, it was this really kind of deep and poignant slow burn, and I love that kind of relationship too. These two have so much history between them, and you can really feel it in the book because Anne has previously rejected the proposal of Captain Wentworth due to family pressures, and I think it was that just edge that they had to their relationship, all these kind of unspoken things that existed for a big chunk of this book that gave their relationship so much tension and made me love them so much. Also, I just want to say, for any of you who have read this, Captain Wentworth's letter. Captain Wentworth's letter. Next, I would like to talk about a couple of the couples that feature in Rainbow Rowell's books, and the first of the couples of hers that I wanted to talk about is Kath and Levi from Fangirl. It looks like I'm reading this at the moment. I'm not. I think this is just maybe like marking a quote or something. I just really liked watching Kath and Levi kind of come together over the course of this story. It's set over the course of a year, whereas a lot of the time I find with YA it will be set over as little as a couple of months. And I think the greater time, the longer period of time that she spent with Kath and Levi's relationship allowed it to feel like something that progressed quite naturally, even though it kind of did feel a bit slow in times. It was just a very sweet and touching relationship, and it really, the words first love really come to mind when I think of Kath and Levi, because for me that's what the relationship really embodies. It's just this very new thing that Kath is kind of intimidated by at first, but she really finds comfort in Levi, and Rainbow Rowell just writes them falling in love beautifully. I love the passages where we see Kath describing Levi, and she says stuff like about making an honest woman out of his chin and how she's obsessed with his widow's peak. I love how she writes them, and I love them. I also wanted to talk about Simon and Baz from Carry On, and I honestly think that if any of you were like Draco Harry shippers, which I personally wasn't, but I know a lot of you are, I think you'll really like this because it's definitely heavily inspired by that kind of dynamic. What I really like about this relationship is we see in both of their heads, because like with Eleanor and Park, she flits between perspectives, but these perspectives are also in first person. So I really feel like we get the sense of Simon and Baz's voices separately as people, and then that just makes watching them come together so rewarding. I also just love the balance of Simon being this quite like serious, dedicated hero, and then Baz just being this snarky guy in the corner. I do love it when snarky people like get into relationships in fiction because it's so much fun, and I love these guys too. I'm gonna have to hurry it up with like the last 4 couples because literally it is saying that I have no bars left on my camera, so this is gonna be fun. The next couple that I would like to talk about is Will and Tessa from the Infernal Devices series. That's right, I'm a Wessa shipper. Please don't hate me, Jessa shippers, because I love Gem too. Really, I shouldn't have put Will and Tessa as my relationship for this. I should have just put the entire love triangle of Will and Gem and Tessa, because I love them together as this kind of 3 friends, even more than I love Will and Tessa on their own. I just really love Will and Tessa's dynamic. I love how they bond through words. I love how they share just such a caring over Gem, and rather than in many love triangles this break them apart, it also helps to facilitate the understanding between them, if it makes sense. Generally speaking, I hate love triangles, but I really feel like the love triangle in this made the relationships all the more poignant, because rather than it make everyone just go up against each other and hate each other, it really showcased how much everybody in the triangle cared about each other's feelings, because nobody wanted anybody else to get hurt. And I think that's what makes this one of my favourite romantic relationships. The next couple I would like to talk about isn't a couple that I ship as intensely anymore, but I think that I have to talk about it because for many years these were my OTP. This was my first ever OTP, and that is Ron and Hermione from the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I do understand why a lot of people kind of are a bit iffy with Ron and Hermione, but I would also maybe argue that a lot of the time the arguments that people make against Ron seem slightly unfair to me, and that's just because I adore Ron Weasley's character, and I think that he can often be destroyed in discussions, or sometimes even in fan fiction, just because people focus on his negative aspect. Yes, Ron Weasley makes some really bad decisions, and he can act immaturely, and he can be jealous and mean and even cruel, but can anybody honestly say that they were never immature and they never said things that they later regretted that could come across as mean and cruel? Because I've definitely said some horrible stuff before, and I'm sure a lot of people have too. And for me, the defining thing of Ron was that he always came back, and he always ended up defending his friends in the end. And so that's why it really upsets me when people attack the Ron and Hermione pairing by solely attacking Ron. I honestly think that these two are a great couple. I think that Hermione instills Ron with like a sense of justice and morality, as we see when he says that they should evacuate all of the house elves in the final Harry Potter book. And we also see several instances over the series where Ron is a real rock for Hermione at times, when he comforts her consistently in Deathly Hallows, when even in the first book it's him that reminds her that she can get them out of the devil's snare because she is a witch. And I was delighted when like they were made canon in the last book. So yeah, Hermione are always going to have a really dear place in my heart. The next couple that I want to talk about, I would maybe consider like the spoileriest couple on this list, and I would not recommend like listening to this if you have not read The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the final book in the Raven Cycle series. So if you haven't read that book and you intend to, I would wait until I've put this book down to start the video again, because I actually think it's quite a spoilery couple because it's quite subtly built up. So the next couple that I want to talk about, as I'm sure many of you who have read the books guessed by that little thing there, is Ronan and Adam. And one of the reasons that I absolutely love Ronan and Adam, aside from the fact that Maggie Stiefvater builds up their bond and their understanding with such care and delicacy, is the fact that they're not obvious. And what I mean by that is you can so often just call the love interest the second they come on in any book, YA, adult, and mostly in any film as well. But what I love about Ronan and Adam is it's so subtly built up. There's very little, if any, hint to it in the Raven Boys, and it's only really admitted to by Ronan at the end of the Dream Thieves. And even after that, we really don't have much insight into how Adam feels about Ronan. We can make like inferences and stuff, but it's never really confirmed. I really loved that about their relationship because it gave so much authenticity to it. You don't always know that your feelings are going to be reciprocated because you don't always have this author building it up very obviously. And just the subtlety of their relationship, but also the depth of it, made me absolutely love Ronan and Adam. And the final fictional couple that I'm going to talk about is such a cheat because first of all they are not canon, and second of all I have not got far enough in the book series to even be introduced to this relationship. But I'm obsessed with the TV show and I'm convinced that it's going to happen. This will contain spoilers for the Game of Thrones TV show because, like I say, where I haven't got that far in the books, I feel like I'm mainly referencing the TV show here. So if you haven't got up towards like the end of season 3, I would skip to this time here if you don't want to be spoiled for potential character dynamics that are going to be coming up. So the couple that I really ship, and this is my like major non-canon couple, is Jaime Lannister and Brienne of Tarth. Hear me out. Even though they're not canon, they definitely have one of my favourite fictional dynamics that could possibly be romantic ever. George R.R. Martin has said, and the actress who plays Brienne of Tarth, Gwendolyn Christie, has confirmed that their relationship was based on Beauty and the Beast. Essentially it was a twisted version of Beauty and the Beast where they kind of played with the genders and also played with the notion of what is beauty, what is honour, and that's what really makes me think that it is going to end up very possibly being a romantic relationship because it is based on these very romantic foundations in popular culture. I just absolutely love the dynamic. Again, we have that kind of hate to love thing, but I think it goes beyond that in the show, and also from the research I've done in the books as well, because these two characters go through just such a formative experience together and they end up having this really deep understanding of each other and this just kind of connection that they don't have with any other character. And perhaps it is platonic, and honestly, platonic or romantic, I adore their relationship nonetheless, but I really do feel like it's in that kind of limbo phase where it could go either way, and I would not be surprised if it did go a little bit romantic in one or the other, the books or the show. So I had to include them as like a little wild card couple at the end because with the show starting up again in a couple of days, I just like couldn't not because I'm obsessed with them at the moment. So yeah, I had to include Jaime and Brienne. Okay, so now my battery is flashing with the knowledge that it's literally going to stop filming in a couple of minutes. So thank you for watching this video. I would love to know about your favourite fictional couples, so please leave a comment below. And until next time, thank you for watching and goodbye.